Hello YouTube, this is your Remington H. I'm going to do a series of videos on my experience with ham radio. So this is my vehicle. It's a 1988 Acura Legend, and it's made a pretty decent platform for mobile HF. Most importantly, let's talk about the antennas. I'm using a couple of antennas here. The HF antenna is the long one. It's an OPEC HVU-100. There are very few HF mobile antennas out there on the market. There's of course the screwdriver antennas, which are considered the best ones, and then of course there's the ham sticks, and then there are some variations of these which offer some multi-band operation, but you know, at a reasonable cost. I believe I paid less than $100 for this antenna. The antenna itself is resonant on 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. And then you can add additional coils to add a couple of other HF bands. In this configuration, I have 20 meters, which is the vertical coil, and 15 meters, which is the horizontal coil at the top there. My radio, an IC-706MKiiG, offers a separate connection for VHF and UHF antenna. So I run a Diamond SG7500 NMO up to the side there, and that seems to work really well. So right now, as you see it configured here, I can do 6 meters, 15 meters, and 20 meters. Mounting, I decided to go with a trunk lip mount, as you can see there. I think it's an OPEC mount. I can't really remember. And the trunk lips have, people have different opinions on them. I think it's worked pretty well for me here, although I've done a few modifications. One obvious modification you can see is I've added a ground strap between the hinge there. I think this is probably often overlooked when people talk about bonding or grounding your antenna. I noticed after a while there is some inconsistent DC continuity, and I think I traced it to this hinge. As you can see, there's quite a bit of rust. The sun's going down, but so I decided to go ahead and drill a couple holes in the metal hinge and run a ground strap. I got these connections at Home Depot. I think they call angled lugs or something. I think they're normally used for like AC power wiring in homes, but it works real well here. And I think this has actually made an improvement. I seem to get better, consistently less noise while driving. So it's definitely been and I think better SWR. So it's been an improvement. Can't stress this part enough: the grounding or bonding of your mount to your car's body. As the trunk lip mounts come, they don't do a real good job of making metal to metal contact. In fact, in my trunk lip here, I don't know if you can see my finger. I don't know where it is here. This isn't even metal. This is like a caulk or something that's painted over. So I ran a ground strap underneath the mount screws, and then they mount, so it's screwed into the trunk lid there. And then for safe measure, I ran a ground strap from the trunk mounting arm here into the actual body of the car. That's the only grounding I've really done. I did the same thing to the 2-meter antenna. That's the only grounding I've done so far. I'd like to ground the exhaust system, run a ground strap between that and the body, and probably the hood, but I haven't done that yet. I don't know that that would make a huge improvement. It's probably worth trying. But as it stands, this setup has worked pretty well. The SWR on the antenna, I've been able to get to below 1.5 to 1 on 15 and 20 meters. And I think it's not quite as good on 6 meters. I have an antenna tuner to touch that up that I use pretty much every time I transmit. The SWR seems to fluctuate sometimes. I think it depends on the type of ground you're over. Sometimes I notice that the SWR meter on the radio shows 1.5 to 1, and then other times it shows less than 1.5 to 1 on the same frequency, depending on where I am. So I do want to get a different automatic antenna tuner that has a digital display and an SWR meter, but that's going to have to wait. The radio is an IC-706MKiiG, and I have that mounted here, as you can see. It actually works quite well. I like the radio. I had a IC-706 initially, and I sold that after a couple months, and an original IC-706. I sold it after a couple months, and then I actually thought I was going to get out of ham radio. And then a couple months later, the bug bit me again, so I decided to get another one. But this time I upgraded. I went with the Mark IIG. I stuck with the 706 series because I already had the remote cable installed professionally, as you can see there. That's the original, that's the cable the radio originally came with. There is a 17-foot version available separately. This used 706 Mark IIG didn't include the remote cable, so I had to buy that separately, which is actually hard to find. And I had the option of buying, I think this is an 11-foot one or 12-foot or something, and I had the option of buying a 17-foot one. But I couldn't imagine it would take that much cable to go from here to the trunk, which is where I originally wanted to mount the body of the radio. That didn't happen. The installer said you need about 17 feet to make a run to the trunk. So he installed the radio under the passenger seat, and that's actually works pretty well. I don't mind that. Under the passenger seat, I think it's a little bit more climate controlled. The radio is operating in a more climate controlled environment than the hot trunk. So that I think actually worked out okay. But because I did have the remote cable already ran, I decided to go with another IC-706, but I upgraded. The Mark IIG seems to be quite an improvement. It offers a lot more power on 2 meters, 50 watts. It offers UHF 440 at 20 watts, and in general the receive seems to be more sensitive. It seems to have better signal to noise ratio, and has DSP, and this particular one has a filter, a 1.9 kilohertz SSB filter, and auto notch. So there's quite a bit of improvement in the Mark IIG. If you're going to buy a 706, I definitely consider spending the extra money on the Mark IIG. It's a good radio. I like it. I'm happy with it. I have it mounted with, as you can see, a couple of low-profile cell phone vent mounts, and that works okay. I really don't see any other better way to mount, or any location to mount the control head. The drawback here, of course, is it impedes the air conditioning airflow, and I'm in Texas, and it gets hot in the summer, and that can be a that's a compromise that I'm willing to accept for now. But it works okay. Makes it easy to remove the headset. I mean, the control head if I need to, if I'm in a sketchy area or something. So that's my install. I don't know, I'll go ahead and see if we can hear anything. It's WWV. Let's see if we can hear anything on 20 meters.
Store or bank or whatever it was. They drove off and it was
that's my speaker. It's just a cheap speaker I bought at a local. I think it's Austin Amateur Radio before the closed shop. Costs like $11. Works really well. Cable runs under the seat to the stereo.
So it is a lot of
propagation has been pretty neat. This antenna is tuned. You actually physically tune the antenna to be resident somewhere around 14.285. It's not particularly narrow banded, but it's narrow banded enough that you really want an antenna tuner. So, tuning your antenna simply doing that, and bam, it's tuned. Tune it over anybody there. Tune's pretty quick. If I tune it right, it's resonant. Shows SWR 1.0 and it's tuned. Works good on.
Well, yeah, the Echo Ink does have a.
Works good on
kind of a scratchy.
2 meters and 440 megahertz with the other antenna.
But it's very.
Puts out a nice 50 watts of output.
You can understand it and hear it real good.
So I'm pretty happy with that. The setup works well. I generally can work what I can hear, and I think overall, considering I can hear pretty well. So I've been able to talk pretty much throughout the world. I'm not extremely active. I listen a lot more than I talk, but I've talked to Poland, I've talked to Spain, I've talked to England, I've talked to South America, and it's usually not very much of a challenge to do so with 100 watts in a trunk lip mounted vertical antenna. So I'm going to continue to tweak it, to adjust it. I'm going to do some upgrades, but and I'll hopefully document all those here in my YouTube videos. Let me go ahead and show you the radio installation. Under the seat here, it's going to be a little difficult to see. There it is. That's an LDG Z100 Plus auto tuner connected to the 706 MKiiG, which is under the seat. This isn't bad. The radio is accessible if I push the seat forward. Pretty good access to it. I'm able to touch, I can reach behind the passenger seat while I'm in the driver's seat and do force a manual tune if I feel the need to. I do want to upgrade the tuner to a MFJ. I think it's a 239. It's MFJ advertises their tuners can match a wider variety of antennas. But specifically, and they're quicker matching, and also specifically I like the digital display that shows you your power output in watts as well as your antenna's SWR. That would be really handy. As it is now, if I want to really do some checking, I have to disconnect the antenna tuner and plug in my SWR watt meter. That's not convenient. So I do look forward to purchasing the MFJ auto tuner. I think it's the something 239. Hopefully that'll be a video, an install video I'll be able to do in the future. Just put that back and it's pretty well hidden. Thanks for watching. Plan on doing more of these, as I said, and I look forward to showing you my challenges and experience operating mobile HF. I have to operate mobile HF, especially because I have antenna covenants in my house, housing restrictions, so I can't put up a big tower or anything like that. I do also like mobile HF because it gives me an opportunity to use the radio every day. I drive to work, so that gives me an opportunity to talk on the radio, or at least listen every single day. So that's handy. I also like the idea of emergency communications. I'm not a prepper, but the idea of having access to communications anywhere I am does appeal to me, and I think it kind of looks cool. I'll say 7.3 for now. This is Remington H, and hopefully I will talk to you soon.